Creating content is a bit like creating a good meal. You need the right ingredients, good quality tools and a bit of effort. Using a knife to prep your veg will get the job done, but not as efficiently as using a blender. It might lose a bit of love along the way, but to get the meal to a good enough standard, it will still require a bit more input from me. Ultimately, if I can prep 10 meals in the same amount of time as it would take usually to prep one meal, then who's going to miss that 5% taste? You might look at AI generated content using much the same analogy. Hey there affiliate schoolers, and in this video I'm going to be finding out if this really is the year when artificial intelligence becomes a power play when it comes to generating great content. More specifically, I'll be using Jarvis AI and using it to generate content for one of my own niche sites. I'll also be using Jarvis AI to write a small section of this video, so if you think you can spot the difference between my script writing and some AI generated script, then leave a comment down below with your best guess. I will be revealing the answer 72 hours after this video goes live, and I'll aim to respond to every single comment that is left in that 72-hour period. If you do want to test out Jarvis AI for yourself, then I have left an affiliate link to it in the description below. Feel free to use it and get yourself a 5-day free trial. The version I'm using is the full boss mode version, which is currently $59 per month and gives you 50,000 words of content each month and access to all the features. There is also a $29 per month plan, but you don't get the long form editor included in that. This was a really important test for me because up until this point I've never used AI generated content before, or at least not successfully, and my writers would typically charge me about £2,500, which is about $3,400 for 50,000 words of content. So if successful, theoretically Jarvis AI could save me thousands each and every month. Make sure you stick around until the end of the video because I'll be showing you the results of a piece of content I wrote using Jarvis that I published on my Coffee Grind Guru website, and showing you how quickly it got indexed and where it ranked for its competitive keyword. Jarvis can be used to create content for a wide range of purposes. They have over 50 templates for a range of uses, from writing meta titles to YouTube video descriptions, and from e-commerce product descriptions to full-blown blog content. As an affiliate marketer with 9 different websites, I was most interested in the blog content and the long form editor, and to find out if Jarvis really could help me with my content needs. So, is it any good? Let's find out. Jarvis uses data that was crawled at the end of 2019 for the base training for its entire model. According to the company, Jarvis crawled about 10% of the published internet, and it uses this information to identify patterns in language. The way in which it works is to essentially predict the next word in a sentence and do this repeatedly to generate content. Much like with a real writer, the more of a content brief that you give Jarvis, the better the output of content that you will receive. The more the artificial intelligence starts to understand the pattern of what you are creating, the more it will generate content that is in line with your expectations. So this is not a hands-off way of writing, it's not an article spinner either. Confused? Let's take a look at it in action. The dashboard for Jarvis is pretty simple, to be honest, and most of the functionality that you're going to need is going to be found within the templates and the recipes section. So if we look in templates, you can see there's absolutely tons of different things. I think there's over 50 different building blocks to use, or templates if you like. And probably the most important one for me, or the one that I've at least used the most, is the long form assistant. And you can pretty much see that Jarvis can be used for so many different applications. So you can use it for writing email copy, product descriptions that you can use for e-commerce sites. I think that could be a potential massive time saver for agencies. You can use it to create blog post outlines, which again, if you're working with writers, you could literally use it to create the outlines for those, come up with topic ideas. You know, I'm not going to go through each of these, but you can see there are lots and lots of different options that you can use it for. And with each template, Jarvis will create different types of content based on the patterns that Jarvis would expect to find within those types of content. Then we've got recipes, which are almost an expansion of the templates, where it will combine multiple templates together. You can find all your documents within the Documents tab, and then you can see all your pieces of AI generated content within here too. You can also create projects, which is really useful if you're working with multiple clients or if you have multiple websites. So you can store your work in projects that make sense, which should just help to keep everything organized. So let's take a look at the long form content generator. Now, I've actually created two pieces of content on the same topic already. I'll quickly show you those. The topic I used was how to clean a coffee maker, which is actually a really competitive keyword. Gets around 18,000 searches per month in the United States. And so far I've created that content twice. And the reason why I did that was that I wanted to see how Jarvis went about creating content that was the same. Because obviously if I'm an affiliate marketer and I'm creating content, another affiliate marketer in the same niche may well go in and create the same content. So I don't want to be creating content that is going to be similar just because someone is using the same tool. And what I found was that the two pieces of content that I've created so far were very, very different to one another. So this was the first piece that I created, which was very much a straightforward how to clean a coffee maker piece of content. So you get an intro and then a few steps, and then it goes into how to clean each one. You can see there's quite a bit of detail there on each machine or each type of machine. But that's a almost 2,000 word article that was created in around 15 minutes, which, you know, again, if I was to create that myself, you'd be looking at something in the region of an hour and a half to probably 2 hours to create that. If I take a look at the second piece that I wrote, this one took me less than 10 minutes to create, and I think that's because this was the second one that I'd done. I was getting used to the way Jarvis works, and again you can see here the title on this one was 3 Easy Ways to Clean Your Coffee Machine. So the premise of it was slightly different in the sense that there were 3 different methods of cleaning. So that's where we go first. So we have the intro, then we had method 1, method 2, method 3. And what I like about Jarvis is that once Jarvis understood that we'd gone into one method, Jarvis then completed the information for that and then automatically started going on to method 2. Likewise, when I actually then added in this section here, cleaning different types of coffee machine, Jarvis then understood that we were starting to look at different types of coffee makers, so it started to follow the same pattern. When I reached the point of espresso machines, Jarvis then didn't want to continue with different types of machines. So I then added in automatic coffee makers, and then Jarvis completed that. And then it decided to give us these general tips, and then a summary. Now, if I wanted to extend this article, I could do that pretty easily just by putting some new headings in, and then maybe the first sentence, or maybe just a couple of words on the first sentence, and then Jarvis would complete the rest. Now, again, that was a 1,200 word article, and that took 10 minutes. So let's have a go now at creating some content from scratch, and we'll try the same one and we'll compare the 3 and see how similar they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my templates, I'm going to go to the long form assistant, and we can either start completely from scratch or we can create a blog post workflow. Now, I quite like this blog post workflow, and it kind of makes sense because that's what we're looking at. So we'll tell Jarvis what we want. So we want to write an informational piece of content about how to clean different types of coffee machines. And our main keyword is how to clean a coffee machine. And then Jarvis will then ask us, do we want to type in our own title or do we want Jarvis to generate ideas? So let's generate some ideas. I think it gives us around 10 typically, just a bit under. So we can then choose from one of these, or we can still type in our own. I quite like how to clean your coffee machine, a guide for beginners. That's quite a nice one. And then I'm not going to write the intro paragraph. I'm going to let Jarvis create this or generate some ideas for us. And I think you'll get 2 or 3 intro paragraphs suggested here. And then we can just choose one of them, or if we're not happy, we can generate more ideas. I quite like that one. Coffee is a sacred morning routine for many people. I quite like that opening line. So let's use that. And then what we can do is we can go into the long form editor. Now, again, another feature that I quite like with Jarvis is that we can choose the tone of voice, and I'm going to go with knowledgeable, but you can literally type anything in there. You can even have it write in the style of a particular author, which is a pretty cool feature. And again, I'm just going to pop the keyword in there, how to clean a coffee machine. And what will happen is Jarvis will start to follow the pattern that we give it. So we've got this intro. I'm just going to let Jarvis take us on the next step by composing. So we can use Command J to create that. Okay, so this time Jarvis has gone straight into different types of coffee makers. Now we can format this as we go, or we can do it later. It doesn't really matter. You just need to make sure that your cursor is in the right place. Otherwise, if we go up here, it will start creating content from there. So let's continue. Okay, and let's carry on with that. Okay, so what you can see here, Jarvis has started to realise that we've got a pattern here where we're going to be going into different types. So let's see what Jarvis gives us next. I accidentally put bold on there. Let's take that off. And actually you can see there's quite a bit of detail on each one. And now this is interesting because I don't think Jarvis gave me the AeroPress on either of the other two. So that's really interesting that Jarvis has come up with that. And I actually bought my wife an AeroPress for Christmas, so it'll be interesting to see how accurate that is. Instant pot coffee maker. This is looking like good content so far. And you can see we're already up to 600 words and it's just taken us about 5 minutes. Okay, so let's just make sure we've not got any duplications. We've got a drip, French press, AeroPress, instant coffee pot, espresso machine, good. Keurig coffee maker, again, another one. I mean, this is pretty decent stuff. Now, what we can see here is it started to repeat itself. So this is the point we're going to stop it. And we're going to need to give it some further input because we've already got the French press coffee maker section. So let's go with how to clean a bean to cup coffee machine. And I'm just going to give it the first bit of the sentence. So bean to cup coffee machines need. And then let's see what Jarvis will do for us. Need to be cleaned every few weeks or so, and it's a pretty simple process. Okay, so something's gone wrong there, we can see. We don't want to go into the Keurig Mini Brewer. I don't know what's happened there, so turn the machine off, maybe. Let's try that. There we go. Lovely. And we'll get rid of that. And then let's try write a summary of the article. There we go. Now, this is interesting because on the last article I wrote, Jarvis finished with happy brewing, which I did actually quite like, but it's done the same again here. So, but it has written a summary, and you can see there that we've written just under 1,000 words, and you know, that didn't take us too long. Now, the one thing that Jarvis doesn't have is any kind of export feature. So what you then have to do is take this, literally copy and paste it and pop it in to your website. So at this point, what I would do is I would go over to WordPress, I would create either a new post or page, whatever I'm using. Let's go with a page. And because I'm using the Rehub theme on this website, it's really simple. I just use the standard WordPress editor here. So I can just drop that in. Obviously you can see the H2s are already in because I've put them in. I might want to change some of these. So what I would do at this point, and this is whether I've used a writer or AI content that's been generated for me, I would go in, I would proofread all of this, and I would potentially change some of these because I'm probably not going to want how to clean, how to clean, how to clean on every single one of these. We're going to want variations of the keyword and so on, but you can see we've got a fairly well structured article there, and it hasn't taken us a great deal of time to put that together. Now let's just take this and pop it into Copyscape, just to make sure that there's no plagiarism. Let's pop that in. And we can see there are no results. So that is absolutely perfect in terms of duplicate content. We just need to make sure that it reads well and that the content is accurate. So you can see there that Jarvis does actually work pretty well for writing blog content, and it does a lot of the hard work for you. You will still need a decent grasp of the English language, I think, in order to edit and then publish your articles, or at least you will need access to someone that can do that for you. But I think there are massive time-saving benefits to using Jarvis, and even if you are putting the content together yourself or writing the whole article yourself, I think Jarvis is going to have a lot of side benefits, not least getting over things like writer's block or conducting some of the research around a topic for you and then allowing you to go in and to jazz it up. So let's take a look at this piece of content that I created a few days ago. This was published on January the 10th. Today is January the 13th. Let's take a look first of all and see if this got indexed. And you can see 3 days ago it was indexed pretty much straight away. So that's a really good sign. Google would not have indexed this page if the content was not unique and if it didn't think that it was well enough written. Now at the moment it's not ranking in the top 100, but it is a really competitive keyword. So I conducted a test on one of my other websites, which I'll tell you about in a second. But before we do that, let's just take a look at one of the other templates. So I'm back in Jarvis, and this is another one that I really like, the PAS framework, Problem, Agitate, Solution. This is a great one for writing introductions. You can use it for email marketing, you can use it for social media. There's lots of different things. So let's imagine we have, I don't know, a lighting company. So let's go with something like ABC Lighting, and we'll write a description of the product, which would be stand-up lamps that look very trendy. Now, I don't know what Jarvis is going to do with this. We'll stick with witty as the tone of voice, and let's see what Jarvis can create. It should give us 2 or 3 outputs. Oh, 3 outputs because we've selected 3. So here we go. He goes, problem. It can be tough to find the perfect lamp that will brighten up your space and look stylish at the same time. To agitate the reader, you know you need a lamp, but you don't want something that's going to take over the room or clash with your decor. The solution: ABC Lighting has the perfect solution, our trendy stand-up lamps. With a variety of styles to choose from, we have something for everyone. Plus, our lamps are made with high-quality materials, so you know they'll last. I actually think that's really good. For AI-generated content, that is pretty decent. And then we've got 2 other options here too. You might want to tweak that a little bit, but on the whole, that's pretty impressive. I tried this exact approach with one of my bigger authority sites, which unfortunately I can't disclose in this video, and used it to generate a piece of informational blog content that was 1,200 words long. It's important to point out that this website is seen as an authority in its niche, and the keyword was pretty low competition, but it went in at position 11 overnight, which was pretty impressive and pretty much in line with what I tend to see with content that has been written by one of my real human writers. Having used Jarvis AI for the last week, I'm not quite ready to fire my writers just yet, but I am going to stick with it for a little bit longer, for at least another month or two, and really see how powerful it is and see how it can help me to get a little bit more hands-on myself with the writing, most likely using it for info content on a few of my websites to start with. All in all, it took me around 20 minutes to plan, write, edit and publish a 1200 word article, and that usually would take me at least 1 hour to do, so I think my productivity has probably increased by at least 3 times thanks to Jarvis. As AI becomes more and more popular, it's getting harder and harder to find quality content that isn't just regurgitated information. Not only is it hard to find quality AI content, but it can also be expensive. Most agencies charge a fortune for even the simplest pieces of content. They believe that everyone should have access to great content regardless of budget. If you want to give it a try, then I'd be really grateful if you could use the affiliate link in the description below. It won't cost you any more and it will get you access to that 5-day free trial. Also, don't forget to comment with your guesses on which section of this video was written by Jarvis, and if you want to know how I write my non-AI content, you might want to watch this video next.